Okay, so here is the deck that I'm going to be working on today. As you can see, half the deck is stained. At least the rails are stained, some of them. What happened is I had some carpentry work done here, and they had to put in new handrails here. And so I decided that I should stain it. But in looking at the deck flooring, it was in pretty bad shape. As you can see, the color faded, paint peeling. And so I have never tried to do this before. I mean, I've stained a deck before, nothing quite this large. This is a pretty large deck. So I did try the other day, and I started the staining process. But this, because of the shape, the condition of the wood here, as you can see, I'm going to have to do some pretty heavy-duty work. So I hope to get a lot of this accomplished today. As I say, I've really never done this level of labor, but I am Outdoor Diane, and this is outdoors, so I don't see why I can't do it. I did try to use some chemical solution to take some of the stain up, and it just didn't work. Plus the fumes, even though it's outside, the fumes are just horrible. So I've left that alone. And I'm going to be using this, a grinder and a tool. It's a Dyma brush tool, and they tell me, and that it works wonders. You've got to get some action to it, some as we used to say, elbow grease in there, but they say it will work. So I intend to spend a few hours today. Maybe this is a weekend, maybe a few hours tomorrow if it doesn't rain. So this may be a couple of weeks project for me. But I think if others can do it, Outdoor Diane can do it as well. But it is a pretty big deck. It's a property that I own, but I don't live here. But for the tenants, I believe they should have it as nice as I would have it. Although I don't have a deck that large. But I intend to do it. So yeah, let's get to it. So this is what it looks like after a couple of hours. And quite honestly, it took a couple of hours because I stopped for phone calls. And every 3 minutes, I get up and take a little bit of a break. It really, honestly, it's a very good tool. What I found for those of you who don't work with power tools often is that if you sit on something, and here I sat on a 5-gallon paint container, and just kind of leaned over as I did it. And it really is an easy tool. The hardest thing that you're going to want to do is, for those of you who, again, don't use power tools, I use this, I'll show you this Ryobi tool. Let's see here. I use this angler. I use this angle. And you can see how the blade, you see how they're worn out. But if you go a little soft strokes, the What you're going to want to do if you don't work with these often, you're going to want to hold on to the handle tightly. It is a tool, it's not a toy, so it pulls. It's going to be kind of, it pulls, but don't grip that thing so tightly. And I found that you're going to have your trigger finger on one part of it, and that's going to be probably the most force you're going to use, really. For the handle, I found that put my palm at the handle first and then lightly touch it with my finger, because that's really a guide and to make sure it goes directionally. So at first I was gripping it, so it became like this athletic workout. It's not an athletic workout. You put your palm there, grip it lightly, and just guide it a little bit at a time, going with the grain a little bit this way and that, so north and south, or I don't know which direction your boards are headed, but the tool will kind of twist in your hand a little bit because it's making a circular motion. Don't worry about that, just keep it going a little bit at a time, and that stuff pops right off. Now, what made it difficult for me, the reason I even investigated using a tool, is because what I have on this deck is not just stain, that would have come up, and not just paint. There's this sealer that was used to seep inside. And as I, would lift that up, it was so hard to lift up. As I said, I tried chemicals, and the chemicals didn't work. But you try to lift that up, you could smell it. It's a, thick and gooey, and but after a few minutes, that sucker came right on up. So, you're gonna have to do a little finessing between the boards. I'm going to use a glue scraper. It's a little triangular tool, and I'll show you that. I'll show you a little later. And but that'll go between the cracks. You might want to use a different kind of sander there. But yeah, this is a big job, and this was my day 2. I'm only doing a little bit at a time, and then I'll be staining the rails and spindles. You see, I only did the outside first, and coming back. But yeah, that tool, yeah, I'm not sponsored by them, but I can tell you it is a good tool. And leave a comment if you have something else that you've been using that you think works better. But I can tell you, and I've used power tools and sanders before. That tool was really helpful.